fellow councillors, staff and residents viewing via live stream. Good morning all and welcome to this special budget meeting. I acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land on which we stand, the Gulnay people. I wish to acknowledge my respect for their current and emerging elders and those in dreaming. I thank them for the contributions they have made in building this community. Councillor Baines has tested positive to COVID, so he's not in the room, but he has phoned in. Welcome, Councillor Baines.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good morning, councillors and all the staff in the room.
Thanks, mate. We have some apologies to record. David Goodman, Simon Page and Vanessa Kerr, all apologies. We now go to the declaration of prescribed conflict of interest or declarable conflict of interest. Please use this opportunity to make public any prescribed conflict of interest or declarable conflict of interest in respect of the items in the agenda. Councillors should use this opportunity to disclose and or comment on other councillors and or staff interests in accordance with the Act and the regulations. Are there any conflicts to declare? I'll take that as a no. Thank you. Good morning, fellow councillors, council officers, CEO, ladies and gentlemen, residents, ratepayers, Cassowary Coast community. Cassowary Coast Regional Council acknowledges the traditional custodians of the land on which we operate, the Mamu, Juru, Giramay, Gulnay, Gerbil and Banjan people. We wish to acknowledge our respect for the current and emerging elders and those in dreaming. We thank them for the contributions they make in building this community. I am proud to present the Cassowary Coast Regional Council's 2022-23 budget and associated operational plan. This has been the toughest budget in my 17 years as a councillor. We have deliberated hard on minimising the impacts of recent land valuation changes whilst ensuring we can raise sufficient revenue to deliver essential services and fund critical capital works and renewal of infrastructure. This council, your council, provides services that are critical to sustaining our community. As a council, we are aware that a sustainable council does not always equal a sustainable community. Council and our community currently find themselves in a perfect storm with regards to our budgets and cost of living pressures. It is no secret that cost of living is putting significant stress on our community and households. We acknowledge that our community is hurting. The impacts of the housing crisis and the rising cost of living cannot be underestimated, and we understand that times are tough for many of our residents. This council has a responsibility to share the burden where we can. Council has focused on getting back to basics in the 2022-23 budget. This focus, while not reducing the impact of external factors, has allowed Council to prepare a responsible budget based on providing a sustainable level of essential services to the community and getting the basics right through funding of maintenance and renewal of critical infrastructure. This budget provides for a total operating revenue of $89.1 million and an operating expenses of $90.1 million. This results in an operating deficit of $965,000 due to the combination of increased material and service costs and a decrease in grant funding due to the prepayment of the Commonwealth's 2022-23 financial assistance grant in the 21-22 financial year. This budget will see Council invest in the future of the region with a $34.8 million capital program. The highlights of this program are $11.2 million on upgrades to wastewater, sewerage, infrastructure, including the commencement of the $12.7 million normalisation of Port Inchbrook project, $8 million allocated in the 2022-23 budget. Doubling the investment on water main renewals to $3.6 million to reduce maintenance costs in the network and service interruptions to the community. $4.8 million on transport infrastructure projects, including $1.1 million on regional road reseals, $1.2 million on unsealed road renewals, $929,000 on Murray Street Tully upgrade, $100,000 to commence the Bowen Street Cardwell upgrade, $1.9 million on bridge and culvert upgrades, renewals and replacements, $1.7 million on pathway renewals and upgrades, $2.5 million on implementation of the Mission Beach CBD master plan, total project cost of $10.5 million, $2.2 million to renew drainage infrastructure at Fitzgerald Esplanade, Innisfail, and 1.1 on recreational and natural areas. 315,000 investment toward upgrades to landfill infrastructure at Tully and Stoddar Hill sites. Council thanks the Australian Government for the extension of the Local Roads Community Infrastructure Program, which has allowed the allocation of funding to the following projects: 400,000 on the Marina Lakes pump track, 325,000 on the Bingle Bay Path, 35,000 on the Flying Fish Point viewing platform, 290,000 on the Dalrymple Esplanade Pathway, and 400,000 on the Murray Street upgrade in Tully. In March 2022, Queensland Coordinator General issued new land valuations for 30 local government areas, including the Cassowary Coast region. Land valuations are one part of the formula which determines general rates. The region has seen growth of 17% since the last valuation. However, Council has focused on establishing revenue required to deliver the services that our community has become accustomed to. It has been challenging to manage the impact on rates for properties that have seen valuation increase significantly above the region's average. For the large individual valuation increases, I feel as a council we have worked hard to reduce the impact whilst maintaining rates revenue to continue to deliver services and infrastructure our community deserves. This budget sees a number of changes to Council's rating strategies aimed at sharing the burden of cost of living pressures that are being experienced across the region. Council has also looked to deliver on the last of the recommendations of the rate referencing group. The gross general rates will not be increased this year, with the minimum residential rate remaining at $1,171. The 0% gross increase in general rates is intended to protect the most vulnerable members of our community and reduce the impact of increased valuations across the region. I just want to repeat that sentence. The 0% gross increase in general rates is intended to protect the most vulnerable members of our community and reduce the impact of increased valuations across the region. What is changing this year is the general rates discount has been reduced from 10% to 5%. This change equates to an additional $1.53 per week on average for those taking advantage of the discount. Just to put that into context, a cherry ripe per week, it will be the cost of the reduction from 10% down to 5%. In addition, Council has also established a non-owner occupier residential land category structured the same as the residential categories. The base rate in the dollar for this group will be 5% higher than the residential rate in the dollar and the minimum general rates. This change equates to an additional $1.69 per week on average for those affected ratepayers. Whilst a modest increase on investment properties within the region, this change will yield an additional $437,000 in revenue to support the delivery of key services and critical infrastructure. The addition of these categories foreshadow future considerations around rating strategies and short-term accommodation. As we continue to work to meet challenges imposed on coastal councils like the Cassowary Coast, this budget provides for a 3.7% increase in water access and waste charges. For those in hardship or just looking to manage household budgets, a wide range of payment arrangements remain available. Through this budget, Council continues to support the most vulnerable members of our community and will retain the $300 pensioner rebate and rating concession of 100% for eligible community organisations, as well as interest-free payments agreements. These concessions allow our community groups, sporting groups and not-for-profits to reinvest back into the great work they do for our community. Our focus on economic development within our region has never been more important and is supported by dedicated in-house focused resources, as well as new partnerships and collaborations which will support, attract and sustain investment in our region. Council is committed in the budget to work with our community to establish a roadmap through the development of an economic development strategy. Council is one of the largest employers in the region, employing over 370 locals who live, work, play and invest in the Cassowary Coast. Consideration has been provided through the 22-23 budget with regard to sustainable wage growth to keep up with the cost of living stress and 29.6 million allocated towards employee-related expenditure. I'm excited to advise that this year we are doing something we haven't done before, which is visiting localities across the region to bring the budget to the community. It is my hope that these meetings will provide an opportunity for residents to ask questions and better understand our budget decisions and priorities. More information regarding dates and times will be released in coming days, and I look forward to personally communicating how this budget will benefit our community. In closing, I would like to thank my fellow councillors for the time and effort they have put into this budget. You own this budget. It is your budget. I'd also like to acknowledge the hard work and countless hours our staff have put into preparing the information to inform decisions in the 22-23 budget. I'm proud to lead a team that has considered a balance between the current financial pressure on our community and the increasing costs of delivering service and maintaining infrastructure. Leading our region is a significant responsibility. It's not one that Council takes lightly. We recognise that every cent of ratepayer funds must represent an investment in a better future. This is a budget that gets back to basics, with funding allocated to areas where it is needed and rationalised based on community priorities to ensure the greatest benefit to you, our community. On behalf of Council, I am proud to present the 2022-23 budget. Thank you. Would the councillors like to make a contribution? Councillor Chewy.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd also like to support your comments. Obviously, I'm especially pleased to see the Mission Beach Master Plan moving forward. The figures provided in the latest census tells us that Mission Beach is growing and growing rapidly, and this exciting project will make the area better and brighter for locals, new people and visitors alike. So that's very exciting. I would also like to mention that the budget has been a challenging process, obviously influenced by circumstances that are impacting the whole world. The recent land valuations set by the state affected Division 3 quite considerably, and the changes to residential rating categories have tried to reduce the impact as much as possible. I'd also like to acknowledge that the Bingle Bay Path is another project that's been a long time in coming, and I'd like to thank the local community for being a driving force behind it. The path will help to provide a safe passage to the beach for families, children and tourists, and it's just it's long been waited for, so I think the community will be very happy to see that moving forward. I'm also so pleased to see the Youth Advisory Committee being brought to life in this budget. In the 2020 campaign, I spoke about the possibility of conducting a youth forum, and this is just that. We will be inviting high school students and young adults to have a voice and become a voice. With our young people in this capacity and our council providing opportunities through apprenticeships and traineeships, it's an important role for council. They are our future. And also the other thing that community has been quite relentless towards council is the dog off-leash program, and I was excited to see that moving forward as well. The community's been asking for this for a very long time, and we are stepping up. I hope this will be well utilised and will provide a safe space for dogs and their owners to be free and use our great area that we have. So yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. Thank you to our councillors and the staff that have made this possible. It has been a very tough process because the world around us is going through crazy times. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Chewy. Can I just go to Councillor Baines first so we don't forget him? I know he's struggling with his illness, but Councillor Baines, would you like to make a contribution about the budget in relation to what it's done for your division?
Thank you for your indulgence, Mr Mayor, and I do appreciate your time. I will keep this short and sweet, if that's okay with everybody. So, Mr Mayor, I'd like to extend my congratulations to my fellow councillors and all the staff in the preparations of this budget. A budget, yes, in very difficult times, and I acknowledge the comments from both of you previous to me. Mr Mayor, I'm really excited about the back to basics in this budget, looking at achievable capital targets. I see that there's some increase into the environmental area, which is going to be very beneficial to us coming into the new future with new partnerships and new governments. Mr Mayor, I think that the work that's been put into this budget is just shows the exemplary staff that we have in this space and shows that councillors have a mind of the community, and we're trying to go through this with them all together. Great exciting projects, the Mission Beach Master Plan, not you, Councillor Trudy, I do apologise. The Warina Lakes Master Plan and the Master Plan for the CBD in Innisfail are both progressing. That's a great piece of work. I'm very happy to say that we've taken the first steps towards an ongoing issue at a local pathway in my region, and that's a great piece of work, and I've been asked by the community to pass their congratulations to Council on getting this process started. Mr Mayor, again, I just want to thank all the staff and all the councillors for being part of this, and I do apologise that I can't be there today. So, thanks, Mr Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor Baines. Councillor Millwood.
Through the chair. So, thank you, Mr Mayor, for the opportunity to contribute to the 22-23 budget. With the rising price of fuel and the ongoing inflation rates increasing the cost of Council's core business, I feel our efforts in delivering this budget has been tough. With the vision of improving livability within the Cassowary Coast region, I'm proud to say I've advocated hard for my community. Commitments have been secured to support the community engagement process, which will inform the design of the revitalisation project of Banyan Park Tully. To complement this, funding has also been secured for the Murray Street upgrade, which will also enhance not only the Banyan Park upgrade, but the upgrade of the Tully Caravan Park. Positive property sales and economic investments in our local CBD is creating the growth needed for our council to remain sustainable. The sales of blocks in Tully on Campbell Street looks very encouraging, with young families making this a welcoming place to live. And with forward thinking and continued contributions to waste management in this budget, I'm eager to see the final result of the FNQ Rock Strategic Waste Plan, as this will influence the Strategic Waste Management Plan for the Cassowary Coast Regional Council. In moving into the space we need to reduce waste to landfill in line with the federal government's targets for 2050. We've also supported the upgrade of the Stodders Hill facility, Tully and Mission Beach transfer stations. So I also would like to take this opportunity to thank all of the staff of the Cassowary Coast Regional Council for your contributions to helping make this region one coast, Cassowary Coast. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Millwood. Next, Councillor Pervin.
Yes, Mr Chair, thank you very much. As been said before, this was a very difficult budget. Going into this very hard. Things around the world are very difficult at this point in time. But I'd like to point out a few things that I've fought hard for over the last 12 months, and in particular leading up to this budget to get this on the agenda. Warina Lakes Master Plan was adopted after community consultation. Over 100 submissions were taken from this. A pump track was seen as a high priority. From this, costings were undertaken for the design and build. Myself and fellow councillors, within our budget considerations, put this on the table as a priority. It's incorporated as a part of the overall master plan of Warina Lakes, and in adopting the proposed budget today, this is a win for our community. It will be great to see the first stage of Warina Lakes master plan in action. Another item, the deck at Flying Fish Point. No better place in Australia where you have the river on one side, the ocean on the other. Local business and residents said that there is a perfect place for people to go and have ceremonies in their own backyard. Only a small project, but a project like this opens up many opportunities for businesses in our region to hold weddings and other ceremonies. As quoted to me by some business people in town and residents, people travel all the way to Port Douglas for these views. But why, when we have it all here in our own backyard? These raised decks could be rolled out in different locations across the CCRC in future budgets to come, along beaches, beside waterfalls, taken in the natural beauty Cassowary Coast region has to offer. Events. Great to see in our budget this time around. Events. The tilapia competition. Well, what a competition that is. Council will continue to support this wonderful yearly event. Not only does this provide a chance for the families to get down to Warina Lakes, put a line in the water, but help to eradicate the invasive species at the same time. Each year, this event has gone from strength to strength. The number of participants and also the number of fish has been decreasing. Our rural and agricultural sector, they have not been forgotten in this budget. Feral pig management strategy. Continue to fund and partner with the agricultural industry on the feral pig management strategy. It's an issue across the whole region and is a major problem for rural agriculture. The pig industry representatives here work closely with council and will continue to do so. With this moving forward, we continue to help, control and put strategies in place to help minimise the effect the feral pigs have on the rural industry. But to my fellow councillors, as said at the start, this is a very hard budget. We deliberated long and well over this, and the information sessions have paid off, and I think we've come out on top. And for our constituents, we provide a very good budget.
Thank you, Councillor Pervin. Next one is Councillor McLeod.
Good morning and thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is my first budget and I want to thank the staff and councillors for guiding me and supporting me through this. It is great to see the council had recently adopted the Visitor Information Services strategy. This strategy provides a strategic direction for visitor services within the Cassowary coast. It is now important to form a working group and develop a framework to implement and undertake the short-term actions that will promote products and attractions within the Cassowary coast while focusing on a return on investment for visitor servicing and destination marketing. Also, it is great to see that we're still partnering with Red Bull Defiance and Innisfail Autofest, which will no doubt bring huge economic benefits for our entire community. And I'm keeping mine nice and short and sweet. When I first got in, I was inundated with phone calls from residents that live and utilise Flynn Road, and I am pleased that this budget will provide a design solution for an ongoing safety concern for our community. I've been contacted by the community and Transnorth school buses regarding hazards as a result of the design of Flynn Road. Council's investment in this budget for an engineering solution for this long-term community concern is one that will allow the costing and future project consideration to resolve this issue. Thank you.
Councillor McLeod. Councillor Barnes.
Good, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, personally, I think this is really a great budget. It's great to see so much effort go into it from council and the staff. Thank you very much to all those involved. Some of the great projects, not only in certain divisions, but we are one coast, Cassowary Coast. Some of the great highlights, we're going to have is the Great Mission Beach project. We're going to get through the dredging. We're going to get through the sewerage. We've got a few hurdles that we've currently hit, but we'll move on from that. Warina Pump Track, which is great, which has just been mentioned by Councillor Pervin. Bowen Street, designing. You'll find in a lot of our jobs now that our designing and planning will take a step up. Under our new CEO, he's really got appetite in that line, and I think as a council we'll see a great improvement. It's been very hard as a council acquiring machinery and also staff, as everybody is aware. The pressure of valuations, a great increase in valuations across a major part of our shire, really was a great hurdle. It just, with COVID, valuations, an ongoing thing, really did put this budget under a lot of pressure, and I think we've come out the other side looking pretty good. I'm very, very proud of this council and staff, the way that we've cleaned up our clean water throughout our whole shire. Some of the big rain events we've had recently, that money we spent was very well spent. The rural industry should be very happy. Recent years they were paying 33% of the total rates. We've now got them down to about 28%, which is a great thing. The transfer stations have come along from day one. I don't think we've been in the job 12 months yet. We've seen a few changes along the way, and we're going to see many more to come. I mentioned planning and designing. In this budget, I only mentioned yesterday that we are going to see some fluctuations in the great amounts of money that we put into investment for short periods. I think that's only going to increase, so that'll be a positive to our budget. We owe very little money. The money we owe is mainly with the transfer stations, and that's on machining. That's very short-lived. The increase that we have put on non-principal place of residences, I think, is a great thing. We may cop a little bit of slack over it, but if people just sit down and think about it, it is a great way of the non-ratepayers in our shire helping to pay for the services of which they are using in our region. We've got probably a bit more to say that may come up later in the morning, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Barnes. Everybody's had a contribution. This is your budget, you own it, and it's great to see the hard work that you've put into the preparation along with our staff come to fruition today. We'll now move to the budget resolutions, and we'll go to number 1, the Mayor's Budget Summary. The recommendation that the Mayor's Budget Summary on the 2022-2023 budget be received by Council. Moved by Councillor McLeod, seconded by Councillor Chewy. All in favour? Councillor Baines? You there, Councillor Baines?
That's an aye from me, Mr. Mayor. Sorry.
Good on you, mate. Good on you, mate. We were getting worried about you.
I had another call coming in and I couldn't figure out how to turn it off. I think my cognitive ability has been affected.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Okay, that was a unanimous vote. Thank you. We move on to recommendation on the 2022-2023 operational plan. The recommendation that the 2022-2023 annual operational plan be adopted by Council. Moved by Councillor Millwood, seconded by Councillor Barnes. All in favour? Councillor Baines?
Aye from me.
Okay, thank you. That was a unanimous vote. Item 3, the significant differences report. The recommendation that the report regarding significant differences between the budgeted income and expenses and actual income and expenses for 2021-2022 as detailed in the budget report be received by Council. Moved by?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Baines and seconded by Councillor Barnes. All in favour? That's carried unanimously.
Aye.
Okay. We now move on to number 4, the revenue policy. The recommendation is that the revenue policy be adopted by Council. Moved by Councillor Millwood, seconded by Councillor McLeod. All in favour? Councillor Baines?
Aye.
Okay, that's unanimous. We're now moving on to item 5, the revenue statement. I just want to bring to your attention a slight adjustment to the report. I'd like to draw Council's attention within the revenue statement to Table A on page 38, Category 9A. Commercial vacant, the addition of business fringe precinct under the Innisfail and Tully local plan. So that's an addition to the report. Number 5, the revenue statement. And the recommendation is that Council adopt the revenue statement 2022-23 as tabled and resolve that 1, pursuant to Section 81 of the Local Government Regulations 2012, the categories into which rateable land is categorised and the description of each of those categories be as set out in the revenue statement. 2, pursuant to Section 257 of the Local Government Act 2009 and in accordance with Section 81 of the Local Government Regulations 2012, Council delegates to the Chief Executive Officer the power to identify the rating category to which each parcel of rateable land belongs. 3, pursuant to Section 94 of the Local Government Act and Sections 80 and 81 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, Council adopt a differential rating system and make a levy a differential general rate on all parcels of rateable land included in each category as set out in the revenue statement. 4, pursuant to Section 77 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, Council will make a levy a minimum differential general rate on all parcels of rateable land included in each category as set out in the revenue statement. 5, pursuant to Section 94 of the Local Government Act and Section 103 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, Council will make and levy the separate charges as set out in the revenue statement, which include the Transport Infrastructure Levy and the Environmental Management Levy. Number 6, pursuant to Section 94 of the Local Government Act and Section 94 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, Council will make and levy the special charges and, where applicable, adopt the overall plans and annual implementation plans set out in the revenue state, which include the Billiana, Murray Upper, Kennedy, Meena Creek and Cowley Beach Rural Fire Brigade special charges. 7. Pursuant to Section 94 of the Local Government Act and Section 99 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, Council make and levy the utility charges for water, sewerage, trade waste and waste management as set out in the revenue statement. 8. Pursuant to Section 118 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, all rates and charges shall be due and payable within 30 days of the issuance of rate notices as more importantly set out in the revenue statement. 9. Pursuant to Section 130 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, Council will allow a discount of 5% on general rates where payment of the full amount outstanding and overdue rates and interest is paid by the due date as more particularly set out in the revenue statement. And finally, pursuant to Chapter 4, Part 10 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, Council grants the concessions set out in the revenue statement and the rating concessions policy. Moved by Councillor Millwood. You want to speak?
Yes.
Yep.
Through the chair, before I vote, I'd just like to make a comment.
Yep.
In principle, I support the revenue statement with the exception of clause 10.3 in that council today is voting on a reduction of discount from 10% to 5%, which I do not support. I would have preferred to see a general rate increase rather than the proposed discount reduction, and therefore I will not be supporting this recommendation.
Okay. Any further comments, councillors? Moved by Councillor. Oh, you want to make a statement? Okay. Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In regarding to rates, we understand that value for money for rates is a focus of our community, and inflating rates revenue to accommodate a discount results in rates notices that do not reflect the cost of delivering services and infrastructure for our community. By reducing the general rates discount from 10 to 5% equates an average of $153 per week for those taking advantage of the discount. The reduction of discount does not impact the most vulnerable members of our community who would be impacted by a 5% increase in rates required to realise the $1.7 million in revenue that the discount reduction will yield. Many of our neighbouring councils don't actually offer a discount. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor McLeod. Any further statements,
I
Councillor
just want
Barnes?
to ask Councillor Millwood, what would be the advantage of increasing the general rates and sticking with the 10%?
Just repeat that, Barry.
What would be the advantage of your suggestion of staying with the 10% and increasing the general rate?
Staying with the 10% and increasing the general rate. Well, increasing the general rate rather than decreasing the actual percentage gave the general public the impression that they were getting a larger discount.
Okay. Any further comments, councillors?
No, I don't understand that. Sorry, Mr. Mayor.
All right. We'll move
Could
on.
I get that explained a little bit better, please? I don't understand.
After the meeting, Councillor Millwood can explain it to you. We have a mover for the recommendation, please. Moved by Councillor McLeod, second by Councillor Chewy. All in favour? Councillor Baines?
Aye.
And Councillor Millwood's against. Okay, thank you for that. We now move on to Resolution 6, Interest on Overdue Rates and Charges. The recommendation that Council adopt the interest rate on overdue rates and charges as tabled and resolve that, pursuant to Section 133 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, Council will charge interest on overdue rates and charges at an interest rate of 8.17% per annum, compounded on daily rates from the date the rates and charges become overdue, as more particularly set out in the revenue statement. Moved by Councillor Pervin, seconded by Councillor Chewy. All in favour? Councillor Baines?
Aye.
That's unanimous. Resolution 7, rating concessions policy. The recommendation that the rating concessions policy be adopted by council. Moved by Councillor Chewy, seconded by Councillor Pervin. All in favour? Councillor Bay?
Aye.
That's unanimous. Resolution 8, investment policy. The recommendation that the investment policy be adopted by council. Moved by Councillor Barnes, seconded by Councillor Millwood. All in favour? Carried unanimously. You with us, Councillor
Aye.
Barnes? Yep. Resolution 9, the debt policy. The recommendation is the debt policy be adopted by council. Moved by Councillor McLeod, seconded by Councillor Chewy. All in favour?
That's an aye from me.
That's unanimous, thank you. Resolution 10, rates recovery policy. The recommendation that's the rates recovery policy be adopted by council. Moved by Councillor Chewy, seconded by Councillor Barnes. All in favour?
Aye.
That's unanimous. Resolution 11, Code of Competitive Conduct. The recommendation that council, 1, determines that the Code of Competitive Conduct is applicable to water and sewerage business for the 2022-2023 financial year, and 2, determines not to apply the Code of Competitive Conduct to waste and other businesses for the 2022-2023 financial year. Moved by Councillor Pervin, seconded by Councillor Barnes. All in favour? That's carried.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Resolution 12, Community Financial Report. The recommendation that the Community Financial Report on the 2022-2023 budget be received by council. Moved by Councillor Chewy, seconded by Councillor McLeod. All in favour? It's unanimous.
Aye.
Thank you. Resolution 13, the 2022-2023 financial statements. The recommendation that council adopt the following statements for the 2022-2023, 2023-2024 and 2024-25 financial years. 1, statement of comprehensive income as outlined in Appendix A. 2, statement of financial position as outlined in Appendix B. Statement of changes in equity as outlined in Appendix C. Statement of cash flows as outlined in Appendix D. Moved by Councillor McLeod, seconded by Councillor Millwood. All in favour? Carried unanimously.
Aye. Yep.
Resolution 14, the 2022-2023 budget. The recommendation that council adopt the following budget documents. 1, operating revenue and expenditure summary by program as outlined in appendices E and F. And 2, the capital works program as outlined in appendices G and H. The long-term financial forecast as outlined in Appendix 1. Measures of financial sustainability for the 2022-2023 and the next 9 financial years as outlined in Appendices J. Moved by Councillor Millwood, seconded by Councillor Barnes. All in favour?
Aye.
That's carried unanimously. And finally, Resolution 15, changes in rates and utility charges. The recommendation that council notes the total value of the change in rates and utility charges levied in the 2022-23 compared with the previous budget, excluding discounts and rebates, is 2.25% and 4.77% using the net rates and utility charges levied as outlined in Appendix K. Moved by Councillor Millwood, seconded by Councillor Barnes. All in favour?
Aye.
That's carried unanimously. And just check with the CEO. I believe that brings the budget meeting to a close. Thank you, councillors. Thank you, staff. Been a great effort, and appreciate all your support in the perfect storm. Thank you very much.